This morning's presentation is about the tenure track and tenured faculty. I'm repeating a presentation this afternoon for the continuing non-tenure track faculty, and I've customized a number of these slides to that audience. I'm happy to answer questions during the Q&A about the C&C process, but the focus of my presentation here formally, and I'm hoping most of the questions today are about what's relevant to the tenure track faculty seeking promotion and tenure, and the the tenured faculty seeking promotion from associate to full. Okay? So with those ground rules, you all know me. I know almost all of you, or I've met you, but there are some names that escape me today. So if I call on you and I don't use your name, I might ask you to say your name so I can become more familiar with everyone here today. Great. So on that note, why don't we get started? I'm going to pull these first few slides with language directly from the rank and tenure policy. And I want to highlight certain passages in that policy to clarify the relationship of the university standards to the college and departmental standards and the overall expectations for success in a promotion and tenure process. So drawing from the statement in the rank and tenure policy on both the principles for tenure and promotion and criteria, I drew out some of this language here. Villanova judges that a productive scholarly and professional life, including basic and applied research, and where appropriate professional practice, is an essential element in the educational and learning process. Similarly, Villanova believes that participation in and contributions to one's department, college, university, profession, and community are the natural and desirable outgrowths of the scholarly life. Tenure is bestowed and promotion granted in recognition of distinctive past achievement that is the basis for a firm expectation of ever-developing excellence in one's role as a teacher-scholar, one's contribution to the university mission, and one's potential to enhance the quality of the faculty. For favorable consideration for promotion and or tenure, a lesser degree of achievement in one category must be balanced by proportionally greater degree in the others. Those categories referring to teaching, research, and service. In no case, however, and that's the bold text, will a faculty member be awarded tenure or promoted whose performance fails to reach and to continue clearly to promise high-quality achievement in both teaching and scholarship. So for tenure track faculty and tenured faculty, you have to be effective teaching and you have to have a record of distinguished scholarship. That's critical. You can't substitute service for one of those other two categories. All right? Additional criteria are spelled out later in the document regarding promotion to associate and promotion to full. So for associate professor, it's clear evidence of teaching and advising effectiveness, continuous development of quality scholarship, effective service to university, college, department, profession, and as appropriate community, and D, ongoing professional development in these areas. Teaching effectiveness is considered a necessary but not sufficient criterion for promotion and tenure. Remember, scholarship is important too, as well as service, but essentially you need to be effective teaching and doing research. To full professor, distinguished fulfillment, I'll emphasize that, distinguished fulfillment of the teaching and scholarship requirements of the previous rank, continued substantial contributions in leadership and service, established reputation among scholars nationally and or internationally, and clear evidence of an ongoing professional development in these areas. Villanova sets expectations for quality and quantity in a general way. There's no specific number listed here for the quantity of publications. In the university criteria, there may be such specificity at the department and college level. So here's what the university expects. Because Villanova seeks excellence, the quality of one's scholarly achievements is more important than the quantity. Accordingly, the various rank and tenure committees will focus on the quality and impact of such works and of other scholarly activities as evidenced by the quality, nature, and reputation of the publisher, scholarly journal, or in certain disciplines, conferences, pre- and post-publication reviews, required written assessments by external scholars, or in the case of certain applied or creative work, other experts out Villanova. That's a nod to our creative people, the novelists, the poets, and the directors of theater or writers of plays and such. Citations of such work in the scholarly literature and other measures. As for quantity, there must be enough scholarly achievement to demonstrate that the candidate has a scholarly orientation and possesses the discipline and ability to contribute regularly over time in a systematic fashion to the literature in his or her academic discipline. Often you'll see in your department statement a general number like 5 peer-reviewed publications or a book written post-dissertation. You might see language like that. Or you must apply for grants. Even if you're not successful, you must apply for grants. You'll see specific language in your college and or department statement. By the way, there's a PDF document. I'll show you where it is on our website. It has engineering's college statement, business's college statement, and the nursing's college statement. They don't have statements for particular to the departments. They are for the whole college, whereas the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, given its size, has each department write a statement, and that is found in this document as well. I just started talking about the department, college, and rank and tenure statements. Your academic department, college, prepared a statement on rank and tenure, as I said. This statement's purpose is to take the university's general criteria and incorporate them into your discipline. The dean of your college approved these department statements or college statements. As you prepare your application, provide evidence and explanations that fully address the department's and university's criteria. So what do we do with work done based on the dissertation? I get a lot of questions like that. Department chairs get questions like that for tenure track faculty. So I pull this language out of the policy. Beyond advanced degrees earned and a thorough mastery of the scholarly literature and practices in one's field, there must be other evidence of excellence in scholarship that may include but clearly extends beyond one's dissertation work. The other evidence may include works that are from the dissertation, works that are revised parts of the dissertation, and which represent a fresh perspective and a deepening understanding of the subject, and works that offer a new line of research. As stated in the criteria for tenure and promotion, tenure track faculty are expected to demonstrate, quote, continuous development of quality scholarship, end quote, and therefore work beyond the dissertation should be produced. Again, this is language directly from the policy. I'm just featuring it in these slides. Many faculty come with credit, 1 year towards tenure, 2 years, or 3 years. Usually it's 1 to 3 years of credit. Work done in that time period of credit awarded will be given full credit as a Villanova-related work. So if you have 3 years of credit towards tenure, the publications you produced in that 3-year period, the conference papers, grant applications, they will count fully towards your tenure and promotion. What happens to work you did before that period of credit? Or if you have no credit and you're coming with no credit, and what happens to the 2 or 3 years of work or 5 years that you may have done at another institution? You may have published a few things, for example, in your scholarship, or established a reputation for teaching excellence by winning, a teaching award at your previous institution. That work currently is not specifically addressed in the policy. What we have said is, in giving advice to department chairs and committees and candidates, is that work can be evidence of a continuous development of teaching effectiveness and scholarship. But it won't be replacing the work we're expecting in this 6-year period prior to coming up for tenure. Whether you've got 3 years of credit and you're here for 3 years and then then you're up in your third year for tenure and promotion. That period of time is essential, but the previous time period, the work done there can be considered as part of a continuous development. This is one of those areas of gray that we need to clarify, and I've worked with the Faculty Rights and Responsibilities Committee over the past year and a half or so, and we took a lot of advice from deans and department chairs and university rank and tenure committee members, et cetera. We're trying to build all this feedback into a comprehensive edit of this rank and tenure policy. So this will be clearer in the future, but for now, that's the advice we've given to people over time. So when you navigate the Provost website, you will see in yellow highlight there the link you want to click on, Faculty and Student Resources. Then under Faculty and Student Resources, you'll see faculty listed there. You click on Handbooks and Guides, that's that blue highlighted area there. And then the yellow font shows you the two essential documents you need, the rank and tenure policy and the guidelines to prepare your dossier or application, and the department rank and tenure statements that I referenced earlier. Those PDFs are current, they're up to date. When you prepare your application, you'll need to download and use one of these promotion and tenure cover pages. You use a promotion without tenure cover if you are tenured and seeking promotion to associate or full. And later on, I'll say this afternoon, if you're a C&T faculty member, that's the cover page you use. If you're seeking tenure without promotion, which could occur if you were brought in at the associate rank and now you're coming up for tenure after being here a year or two. Or maybe you came in as a full and you're coming up for tenure after a year or two. So tenure without promotion cover. Use if you are tenure track or at the rank of associate or not seeking promotion to full. Use if you are tenure track at the rank of full. There are some assistant professors who were hired prior to 1998. At that time, there was still the option of coming up for tenure first and then seeking promotion later in your career. So we have a number of tenured assistant professors still who may seek promotion without coming up for tenure. And they would use the tenure without promotion cover if they do that. Okay. Then in the forms directory of the Provost page, you'll see down at the bottom there, and highlight forms directory. You can find those cover pages there. That's where they're listed in the forms directory. Okay. Now when you're completing the rank and tenure application, you can use Activity Insight to run a custom report for rank and tenure applications. And it will pull in all the information that you've put into that Activity Insight, to that database, and put it in the proper place in your report. You then would save it, open it as a Word document, and continue to edit it. And what I've identified here is information that will not be in the Activity Insight report, but you will need to add to it. We don't collect this information through Activity Insight. For example, the cover page isn't an Activity Insight, so you want to put that as attachment to your Word document. Section B, the table of contents, lists sections C through M in the guidelines. That's not an Activity Insight. Your teaching statement that you're going to write needs to be added. Your discussion of the CATs, looking at the questions 22, 23, 26, 28, 29 especially, and your discussion of the CATs, that statement isn't in Activity Insight. The copies of the evaluations your peers did of your teaching need to be added to the dossier. Your statement on scholarship, your philosophy of research, why you do the research you do, why you select the journals or the particular publication outlets that you do, that needs to all be added in. And then the copies of any published reviews of your works that you're adding. Again, you need to insert those into the application. The statement on service. Again, your approach to service, why you made the choices you did in terms of department service or college, university, profession, community service. And then sections G through M are not collected. Those are added in by the chair and others. So Activity Insight gets you a long way to filling out this application. But there's still going to be information you need to add. In addition, you'll need to notate on your publications and scholarship some information that's expected. So in the guidelines, it'll specify what you need to do. If you produce the work while at Villanova, you put VU as part of, when you enter the bibliographic information of the publication, you would put it, say in bold, VU. So the reader knows you did that at Villanova. If the work is from your dissertation, based on your dissertation, like I described earlier, you would put DIS, D-I-S. Again, put it in bold so they can see. So you might have VU, DIS. Both codes could be next to your publication. Last refers to when you came up previously, which when I went up for full professor, in my previous application for tenure and promotion to associate, I had works in progress and I had something submitted, right? Then it was accepted a year later, but that's when I was promoted. So I had to indicate in my application that this was considered my last time I applied, but it was in a submitted status. So it's clear to the reviewer that I'm not trying to double count, that kind of thing, that I'm being direct as to here's how it was presented before, here's how it's presented now at status. You would indicate if something's invited by an editor. That's important for your reviewers to know. And here's something very important that you should do, and that is to find ways to document the significance of any of your work. And you can do that by referencing the quality of the journal. For example, this is the journal of the section on ethics of the American Society for Public Administration. So it's the journal of ethics for that association. That little sentence I would put in to my application so people know that publishing in public integrity has some significance to the entire profession of public administration. The journal impact factor, that's more quantitative than the qualitative information I just provided. You can use the journal impact factor, citation date, how many citations has your article received, and so on. So when you're preparing your dossier, you have the first chance to define the quality of your work for everybody who's going to read that application. And whatever information you can provide, either in the narrative about your teaching or the narrative about your research as to why you do the work you do, why you choose the outlets you do, and then what your accomplishments are, where you've published, and why that's important, and fits into your overall scheme as a teacher-scholar, you have a chance to communicate that and define it for yourself. So I encourage you, and I hope the chairs help you do this, is to make the best case you can for tenure and promotion, or for promotion to full or to associate. It all starts with you. So you can run Activity Insight, you can add all this information in through that Word document. Okay. The department chair will provide you with a matrix, usually, of the numerical ratings you received annually in your evaluations and your triannual evaluations, as if you're in at the 3-year point. Your copies of the written statements at those evaluations by your chair and by dean will be put in, again, in like a table format or matrix. And for cases of tenure, the department chair and dean's 3rd-year evaluation will be there as well. So you'll have that you can look over again and review. The appendix is there for you to put information that will validate what your claims are in the application. But there's a balancing act here. Like, I would say definitely put all your published articles, you put them all in your appendix. Right? Grant applications that were successful, you put those in your application. Letters of acceptance of a book that you now have under contract, you put that letter into your appendix. Or you have a letter saying your article has been accepted. You put that letter into your appendix. Put it in a 3-ring binder, and organize it in the same way the rest of the table of contents works, so people can find it in the right section. What you don't need is to put every single letter of recommendation you wrote for a student in an appendix, right? You don't need to put every single conference paper you wrote. Generally, it's the end product that will count, or at least one conference paper that you think is particularly important. Maybe you won an award at a conference. You want as the best paper presented, and you would want that certainly available to be read. My point is, we don't need 3 boxes full of memos and documents and emails and everything. What we're really looking for is, in that binder, the essential information that validates your claims of success as a teacher scholar. When the department committee meets, the department chair is there simply providing information upon request, making sure the department committee is doing its proper duty, following the expectations as defined in the rank and tenure policy. The department chair doesn't vote with the committee. The department chair has an independent voice. The department chair will write his or her own letter evaluating your work and adding that to the dossier. You, as an applicant, get to read the department committee's report. Now, it'll be sanitized, so to speak. There won't be any votes reported. Your colleagues' names won't be mentioned in reference to something said at the meeting. That will be removed as well. But you'll read exactly what the committee thought and how they discussed your teaching, research, scholarship, and service. It'll all be there for you to read. You have up to 3 days to send a reply to the department chair saying, look, the committee made some factual errors, right? That can happen. And you want to correct these errors. There's some procedural mistakes made as well. I would like to see these procedures correct. So you can write this statement. The department chair then has an option. Can correct the errors and have the committee deliberate a little more, which rarely happens. Instead, the chair will put your statement, your observations about these factual errors and procedural errors in the application. So the college committee and dean and the university rank and tenure committee will all see what you said about your department statement, your colleague's statement. What this document is not, however, is a chance to re-argue the reasoning your department colleagues have used. That's not going to work. The college committee is not going to pay attention to all of that other stuff. This is about factual errors and procedural errors. So I'll go back to something I said a few minutes ago. Before you turn that document in, make your best case for yourself. Make the best argument you can. Because that's your one shot at doing that. After that, all you can do is correct factual errors and procedural errors. Okay. We'll comment about this. You're turning your document in on November 8th this fall, and you have things submitted. And then you get word in January or February that the article is accepted or the grant is funded. You may provide that information to the appropriate level. So if it's the dean, you send it to the dean's office. They would make sure the college committee gets to see it and the dean is aware of it, and it becomes part of your dossier. If it happens after that review, and like say in April, well, then you contact our office, and we would make sure that information is now available to the university rank and tenure committee. So you may update the status of your work throughout the academic year, and it will be considered as part of the evaluation of your application. Good. So here are the essential dates. As I said, the application. Yes.
Are we allowed to ask questions?
Yeah.
Okay. For a procedural error, could you just give me an example of like what a procedural error you would consider putting in a letter would be?
Right. So sometimes in the turned in and processed by the chair, a mistake could be made. And say you find out that information that you provided was not given to the whole committee, right? And the chair says, oops, I made a mistake, I'm sorry about that. I forgot, you've given that to me separate and I should have added it and I forgot about it. That would be, and that's happened before, where information was given to the chair, you know, to add in to the dossier. Because really, you don't have to wait till November 8th to turn your application in. You could turn it in early and say to the department chair, please read this over to make sure I have everything in here that's expected, right? You can do that. You don't have to wait until November 8th. But anyway, that's the kind of error that could happen. Okay? Yeah, yes, sir.
So Victor Lee, yes, one thing that...
What was your name again?
Victor Lee.
Thank you, Victor.
One of the things that's really just question also mentioned before is that sometimes at the college level, some information in dossier may not be complete. For example, in preparation for listing your publications, one of the things that we look for is the contribution of authors in the situation where there are multiple co-authors. So that's one thing that you might pay attention to in terms of preparing a dossier. And related to this question, some of that information is missing. Last time around, we had to go back to the candidate and ask for clarification. Because every discipline, if we don't have information directly, then we have to try to infer. It's alphabetical in terms of authors. Every discipline has different protocols for that. So.
Thank you, Victor. So I'm going to repeat some of what Victor just said, so it's in the recording, if that's okay. So the question becomes, what do you do when you have multiple authors? Victor has experience where the college committee had to go back and ask the applicant to provide a clarification on their contributions to their publications. So in some disciplines, you could have as many as 50 co-authors. Could be you're part of a research team. Or you could have 5 or 3 or 2, or just yourself. But when you have multiple authors, there's a way in Activity Insight for you to explain what you contributed to that publication. So it gets pulled in automatically that way. But if you haven't done it in Activity Insight, you can still provide an explanation. Below where you put your publication would be ideal. So you put your article information in there. Right below that, you can put a sentence saying, you know, I wrote the introduction, section 3 of the article, and the conclusion. Or you would say, I'm the primary person who did the quantitative analysis and contributed this way. Or you might say, it's my idea, I assembled a team, I assigned them different tasks to do, I edited the document once everybody contributed made their contributions, and I, you know, you just say what you did so that the committee knows your role in that work. You want to add anything, Victor? Did I cover it?
Yeah, that's about right. I think there are, you could say, equal contribution,
yes.
Primary, secondary, and then if you feel that it's necessary to go into exactly the details, then you can do that.
Yes, thank you, Victor. Yes, Donna.
I just want to clarify, Victor said something about placement of the author too, and in different disciplines, you want to be first or you want to be last if you're running a large lab. So we have to understand those nuances.
Okay, so Donna said that the placement of your name in the list of authors is important. If you're listed first or second, that's significant. But in some disciplines, being listed last when there's a large number on the research team is more important because that indicates overall, I guess overall, senior person. Okay. Yeah, and so this is where it's going to be almost discipline specific. So if there's traditions within your discipline, it's important for either the department to help make that clarification as to why the work is important. Because your department statement should be, you know, Craig's work's really important. He's done X, Y, and Z. These are the significant journals on our field. That should appear in a department rank container statement. Or they could say Craig's published in journals that are not important. They're 3rd and 4th tier journals, and it's unfortunate, but he's not going to make the cut, right? You could say that too. Well, I might be a little harsh, but you could say something like that. Great. Any other quick? Yes, Heather.
Actually, I think it's January 6th, but it's...
Oh, not again. Did I really make another mistake?
Because that's a Saturday.
Oh. I try.
Take all the chairs now.
Thank you. I look at these dates constantly trying to get it correct. It's January 6th. Okay. I'll correct that before I send it out. Thanks, Heather.
I just had a question about the appendix. I thought we were going digital for everything, but we're still.
Okay, I'm glad you asked that. So the question is, are we going digital for anything, everything? So we have purchased a subscription to a product called Workflow that is connected to the same company that now did Activity Insight. We did a pilot last year with, I don't know, 5 or 6 faculty. And we got some very positive feedback. We also got questions that, to improve the product. And others were thinking, let's just use SharePoint, so we had a wide range of opinions, and we deliberated over the summer. And I admit, I took a long time to make this decision, because I would have loved to have 5 or 6, yeah, let's do it, kind of feedback. But I didn't get that. So then I had to decide, what are we going to do? So typical of me, I decided to let all things happen, meaning we renewed the subscription. I'm getting ready to send an email to the to the deans to say, Workflow's available. We encourage you to use it. We'll set it up so it can be an entirely digital process for your college and for the university committee, but we're not requiring you to do that. Because I didn't have that really great positive feedback, and I would look at this year then as another pilot. Because there are other products out there in the marketplace besides Workflow. It's just how many can you test at the same time, right? So, and this one seemed to be a good product for us. It was simple, and that's some of the feedback we got. It was simple, but they didn't like, for example, that they couldn't open up one PDF. You had to keep going back and opening up PDFs, and it just got to be tedious for the reviewers a little bit. That was one of the comments. So the company's still improving the product. They're taking our advice. It will be available. As of right now, we won't require the use of it, but I'm encouraging it that, go ahead and use it, and then we'll really know if we like this product or not. One thing that's good about it, the ability for members of the department committee or college committee to access the information is easy compared to SharePoint. You can easily access the information through Workflow. We just set you up and you can go in and look at the information. Yes?
Just to clarify, the 3 reminder is not like.
No, that one, this is just your application.
But
And
the appendix is still a 3 reminder?
yeah, you don't have to put your appendix up. You want to have,
But we still
you
make
have
one.
that up. What's that? Go ahead.
We still make one, though.
Yeah, you should make a, yes. Yes. Yes, Erasmus.
I'm a little confused. So do we have the option to actually make this digital? Because, right, for all of our papers,
You do.
it would be.
You have the option to make it digital, but your department has to want to do it, and the dean wants to do it that way. This is
Okay.
why, because you can't have just one applicant out of, the college doing it. Well, you could. We did it that way last year. But your department has to be willing to go in and use Workflow. So what we have to do in our office is put all the folks who are eligible at the department level to look at your application and vote. We need to give them credentials to access Workflow.
Yeah.
And you control access. So, for example, as a candidate, when you apply, you can see the department statement, but you can't see, you'll see the edited version. You can't see what the chair wrote. You can't see what the college committee wrote. Everybody has different levels of access, and we have to do that systematically. So we can use it, and I'm going to encourage people to use it, but it's a conversation you can have internally within your department and college to try to use Workflow this year. Yes?
I'm Danielle Lombardi in the accounting.
Thank you, Danielle.
faculty. I just want to clarify, so only the appendix has the option of going digital?
No, the application.
Oh, the application.
Application, all that material I described,
So all,
all that material I described is part of your application.
okay.
Like your external,
Sure.
your external reviewers information will be added in by the chair. The chair will upload the external reviewers material, will upload the chair's statement, will upload the department statement, will upload your response to the department statement, right? So that gets, you upload your application. I'm saying the appendix doesn't have to be uploaded. If it's a small document, sure, but if you got 100 pages of, you want to make a big document like that, you can. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just, I think we set it up, but you can upload your application and supporting material. But Michael Reich ran this thing last year for us. I don't know if you know Michael. He's the vice dean over in the law school, and he's also the administrator for Activity Insight for us. And he's going to help manage the process again this year. But I have to double check with him about the option to upload the appendix. But you definitely put your application as a PDF, not as a Word document. Yes.
And if they are both hard copies, the department prefers that, does the appendix have to go in a separate binder?
Yes.
Okay.
If you use paper, approximately, the application should be approximately 50 pages or about 17,000 words. Obviously, that's a target. You can go to 55 and no one's going to say anything. You go to 60, right? But we have found that you can say all you need to say in about 50 or so pages. And the appendix then is second. It's a separate binder. Okay? Does that make sense? I see.
Yes.
Yeah, you good? Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hi, Michelle Kelly.
Hi, Michelle.
One of your earlier slides, you mentioned a discussion about your CATs and about the number, the questions 23, 26, 28, 29.
And 22.
It's 22.
Yeah.
According to the guidelines,
Yeah.
it says that document is provided by one's department chair, having received it from OPIR. So that's not something that the candidate
Correct.
needs.
You're
Is
gonna,
that correct?
no, you get it. You get a copy of that report.
Okay.
So OPIR, in the next couple of weeks, or 3 weeks or so, will run a 8-semester, inclusive of summers, report on those 5 questions only, and provide that to your department chair, who then provides it to you.
Okay.
And you discuss those. Now there's...
So we have the opportunity to comment on those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You should comment on
Okay.
that. Now, I often get asked, what about other questions that aren't among those 5? You're welcome to draw on those other questions and talk about them. But you definitely want to talk about those 5, because those are the ones identified in the rank and tenure policy as helping define the student's perspective on your teaching effectiveness. It's only one measure of teaching effectiveness. Your peers, obviously, and their review of your in-class teaching, the way your department committee talks about the way you design your classes and your syllabi, the assignments you give, the quality of your advising, those are all measures of your teaching effectiveness. So the student's perspective through CATS is but one piece of information. Yes, sir. Is that,
Mike Tomk,
Hi, Mike.
Arts and Sciences.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to ask about the digital stuff again.
Please.
But I'm just trying to envision the conversations about workflow that are kind of proceeding from this meeting.
Thank you.
Do you think we would be making the decision to use workflow or not at the college level, and that the department would probably need to sync with the college, i.e.
That would be my sense, but let's ask some of Barry, for example, what do you think Adele will want to do? Do you think she'll want to use workflow throughout the whole college and make it all digital?
To be honest, I don't know. When we used workflow last year, we were under the impression that it would be evaluated and the decision would be made either to use it or not. And so the fact that now there's an option, I don't know how Adele's going to work with that. Last year we used both workflow generated and paper applications, and I would imagine we continue to do that this year if that's what the department wants to do.
Okay, thank you. Donna, do you have any sense of what you want to do in nursing?
I haven't used workflow to the best of my knowledge,
Yeah.
and I would need to learn a lot more about it.
Okay.
How people feel.
Okay, good. Somebody else had their hand up here. Did you have your hand?
I was just going to say that Adele had a meeting for us in the spring, and she said that we were going all digital.
She
I
did.
realize that may have changed over the
No,
summer.
no, no.
That's what we were told in the spring.
That was our goal,
Okay.
but then I got all the feedback.
I was excited about that.
I got all the feedback. It's a useful product. It's just, for the review, for the applicant, it's easy. For the applicant, all you do is upload a PDF and you're done. Right, you're done. It's the reviewers that gave us the mixed feedback because, they have to go in and read, say, 20 dossiers, And they're like, I gotta keep opening all these separate files, and I'm getting pinged all the time that I haven't uploaded my letter yet, and the department chair's got like 6 emails in 2 weeks because he hasn't uploaded the letter. Yeah?
I was just gonna say, because Adele's, as a member of Adele's newly formed sustainability committee, and she sees the college as a force for sustainability on campus, I would not be surprised if she encouraged us to do it digitally.
Yeah, I think this will be interesting when Adele finds out her name is mentioned so many times. I'm sorry, Adele. Sorry about that.
Just, I did see one last year in workflow that was complete, and the appendix was also there, and that went smoothly. I don't think that it was that huge.
It is, and it's just an upload. It's just how big of an appendix is it going to be? It might be having a 3-volume appendix, right? That kind of thing. But yeah, it can be done. Heather.
Just very quickly, for a chair to access workflow, I don't know nothing.
Yeah, so you'll be given you just log into it, that's all.
But do we do it through Nova, my Nova, or Nemesis, or how do we access it?
I think we have it set up through Activity Insight, but who used it last year?
I think there was a link, it was an email link.
It's a link, yeah, okay. It's a separate product from Activity Insight, but it's part of that system. So I'll have to verify how you would access it. Yes, when?
Just wanted, I came in a little late, you might have covered this already, for this, workflow. So it's one document that they upload, it's not like in pieces, right? They have to upload.
They will upload their application, and then if they do an appendix and they want to upload it, that would be a separate document.
Okay.
And then the chair begins to add information, like the department ranking tenure statement. The candidates reply to that statement, the correct factual errors, let's say. The chair's statement. Then that goes to the college committee and the dean, and then that information is added in.
Okay.
And only the people at that level can see that information. So, a departmental member can't now look and see what the dean said. They don't have access to that information. So there's sort of coding that controls who has access to this different levels of information.
Okay.
Yeah.
So BSB pretty much did that similarly, parallelly last year already.
Yeah, you had I forget, there were like 5 or 6 faculty from across the university doing workflow. Somebody else? Yes, Kelly.
I see that, so the latest version of the guidelines say that technical corrections were made on July 11th this year.
Oh, yeah.
Could you tell us what those were? Because I read the other ones really thoroughly, and I still have to read them all.
Correction.
I asked that same question when they come. I
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what I did. I don't remember what I did. It was very minor. It wasn't all these edits I've been working on with the Faculty Rights and Responsibilities Committee. It wasn't any of that. It was somebody brought my attention to poor grammar or something like that, or a typo of some kind. It's not a big deal. If you read the version before July 11th, you're fine. Yeah. It was really anything that's technical is usually very minor. I just don't remember what it was right now. Yes,
Cheryl.
Yeah, hi, Cheryl.
Sorry. This is a question which probably won't apply to a lot of people, but I had it. So for those of us who might be going up for promotion to associate, but have had tenure for a lot I understand why you have the 8 semesters, because for a lot of people they're going for whatever semesters for promotion and tenure together. But some of us have been here a lot longer than that with tenure.
Yeah.
Any reason, any limit on how many semesters to go back, or suggestion, or is that really up to us, whatever we want to present?
Yes, the last part. So the question is, if you've been tenured for a long time, say like a tenured assistant professor, and now you're applying to be promoted to associate professor, the report you receive from OPIR on those 5 questions focuses only on the past 8 semesters inclusive of summers. May you go further back in your career and document all the effective teaching you've done over time? And the answer is you may. You maybe you were nominated for a teaching award and received it at the department, college, or university level. Those kinds of things could have happened. So, or at a conference, whatever, right? Advising awards. So you would certainly want to mention the significant events of the past. What I would suggest you do, though, because the focus is on those 5 questions, is that if they are reinforcing 25, 30 years worth of excellence in this, right, then I would just say something like that. I don't think you need to spend a lot of time talking about, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. You may find that there's other ways you want to talk about the previous years of experience.
And I was going to explore different things, but I'd like
Yeah.
to get some input.
Yeah, you could do that, but I would still focus on those 5 questions because they are built into the R&T policy.
Of course, I've been here longer than we ever even did any of this stuff.
Yeah,
So I have stuff where we don't even keep records and things like that.
Yeah. Okay.
But that just tells you all that. But I had one other question too. So I know the thing about the peer teaching evaluations, but I mean I haven't had those done in I don't want to say how many years.
Don't
Because I have been here for so many years and I don't have any to put in basically.
Right. Right. So and it's too late now. You could have one done. 1 or 2 done this fall, which I recommend you would do. You would ask your chair to have 1 or 2 or 3 of your peers come and look at different classes you're teaching. That would be a good thing to do. So there is some information there from your peers regarding your teaching excellence. For the tenure track faculty, for the recently tenured and promoted.
So different.
Yeah, I'm sure, I understand the long-serving faculty like yourself may not have the peer review of teaching. Also, for those of you who are associate professors, say for a decade or more, you may not have had anybody review your teaching in the classroom either, because it's optional. It's not required for a tenured associate to be evaluated by peers for the purposes of promotion to full. You could do it, but it's not required. So those folks don't have them either, right? And you're seeking only promotion, right? But I understand why you asked the question, and again, I would say if there's still time this fall to have some evaluations done, and that probably would be a good thing to do. Anybody else with questions? Yes.
Teresa
Sure. Hey, Teresa.
You discussed in the appendix how important it is to include our publications and reviews of our scholarship. But could you discuss the advisability of including appendices related to teaching and service?
Oh, yeah.
Documentation of our reviews
Absolutely.
of journal articles, for example.
Well, if I would include your syllabi, the most recent versions of your courses. I would include unique assignments that you've created. When I was teaching, I would do negotiation simulations. And it was a lot of fun, but I took great pride in how the class liked it. So I talked a lot about my negotiation simulations and how well they worked, right? It was something unique to my classes. But I think you should do that. That's a great, and I would put an example of how the simulation works. So yes, and in terms of service as well, you may have received recognition from your profession or your community organization, and that would certainly be worthwhile noting and putting in the evidence in the appendix that you received that recognition or that award of some kind. So I think that is important to do. Thank you for bringing it up. Not just research is in your appendix, but service and teaching excellence too. Other questions? Yes.
Re-strength in chemical engineering. Three quick questions. So everyone talking about inserting, for example, peer evaluations of teaching. The dossier specific formatting guidelines, how is that actually to be inserted? I mean, if you're given a Word document that's not in the same formatting, is it literally paste it verbatim?
Are you talking about what the chair does to insert information? Or will you
sections that have content?
Right, like a statement on teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
so you open it as a Word document, and then you can insert the text into that part of the Word document. So let's, if you're using Activity Insight and you open it, right, you can open it as a Word document. You can insert that text into the appropriate locations in the application. Then when you upload the document to Workflow, let's say, you would do it as a PDF. The chair has to add information to your application as well, the department statement, the chair's statement, and so on. So that's put up separately. In the workflow process, it's just an uploaded document. In a paper process, it's added in to the dossier. And the external letters, for example, in the workflow process, that digital process, was just uploaded separately. But in the paper process, the department chair will begin the numbering, and this, let's say, like, page 36 will be the first letter, right? And it's 3 pages long. So that'll be 36A, 36B, 36C. And then the next letter will be 36, you know, like, they'll do that so that the pagination makes sense, but they'll add that coding in to they'll just literally write it onto the letter.
So we don't have to worry about anything like that?
As an applicant.
As an applicant.
You don't have to worry about that. The chair has to deal with that. What you have to worry about is putting in the information that you need to. And you can do that through a Word document. If you use Activity Insight. If you don't, then you'll have to use a Word document. Yes?
Email from Mass and Staff. A question about Activity Insight. So when you put your report from Activity Insight, and I noticed the font size is really small.
Yes.
So how much flexibility do we have to modify that?
You can change it. Make it agreeable as you want it to be. You can create the own style you want. You may not like the style that comes out.
So it's more of a section, like from Activity Insight, and we probably want to follow the template. But I wonder here, the use of the Activity Insight as a template here is more of a section, how they actually section that will follow that.
Well, it also, I think the big advantage of Activity Insight is it pulls all that information you've already entered in the database and completes the report for you. Now you want to be an editor of what it gives you, and if it doesn't look the way you want it to, you can change it around. Just stay within what the guidelines say for you, and so on. You just have to stay within these guidelines that are in the PDF. But otherwise, you can change if you want font Times Roman instead of whatever. Change it if you want it, 12 point, 10 point, or go ahead and change it. So it looks the way you want it to look.
Okay, another question on the class presentation reports, because I'm a tenure track acting member, and the guidelines says include the recent 6 reports, most recent 6 reports. But actually we have, since day 1 in Villanova, we actually have evaluation pretty much 2 reports per semester.
Mm-hmm.
So how about those older reports? Is it up to us to include them, or I mean, like in addition to the most recent 6 reports, or what is the recommendation?
So as a tenure track faculty member, those first couple of years are meant to be really developmental advice for you. So the reason it says the 6 most recent is it's giving you the opportunity to have gotten better. Let's assume you were new to teaching, right? So those first couple of years leading to your 3rd year review, they tend not to, we'll say you don't have to use those early letters because they may be pointing out things that you've improved upon. So that's why it says the 6 most recent. If you think it's to your advantage to point to a letter you received your first year here, can talk to your department chair about that and include that into your explanation. But we bring the 6 recent ones because the earlier ones are developmental. Yes?
Would it be appropriate to potentially include the developmental ones in your appendix? The reason I ask is because there was a semester where I taught at nights and online, and a peer evaluation, the team wasn't available. So I'm missing a peer evaluation, and I have a note from the dean's office that says it's fine, but
Okay.
I would like my developmental reports are strong, so could I include them in the appendix?
application, so if it's important to clarify, as you have, clarify your performance, so it's accurately understood, I think that's fine.
Thank you.
Yes, Dennis?
Just on activity insight, I'm just going to mention, because I know that others have mentioned this.
Okay.
The pet peeve of listing that you went to every mass and every et cetera. Activity insight can be 20 pages.
It can be, yeah.
You should feel free to edit that down so that it actually becomes almost defensive if you have all of those things that look how hard I worked, as opposed to just tell us what you did.
Yeah. So I'll go back in time for a few minutes. So I had to work with a faculty committee to set up Activity Insight back in 2008 and 9. And we were figuring out what do we want to put in these drop-down boxes. And we were like, do we put in that you went to graduation? Do we put in that you attend the baccalaureate? Do we put in that you go to the Mendel lecture every year? And we were thinking, let's just put it in so people have a place to document what they've done. And then you end up with, that nice thought leads to, these 5 pages listing of all the events you've attended the last 5 or 6 years. So yeah, what you can do with that is say, I attend graduation every year, I attend the baccalaureate mass, I attend Mendel, I participate in St. Thomas of Villanova Day, and so on and so on. You don't like say, I've done it 10 years in a row. And shorten that and edit that section on service so you don't have this long list of activities. Yes, Jerusha.
I remember when I was going in for tenure, there were exemplar files
Yes.
in the Provost office that we could go and look at. We could
Yes.
check out what we could see
Yes.
for formatting's sake. Do you still maintain those?
We still maintain exemplar files from each college. So if you want to come and look and see what a successful application looked like recently, you're welcome to make an appointment in our office and we'll pull the appropriate file so you can look at it. What you won't see, of course, is the department statement, the chair statement, external letters. But you'll see what the applicant prepared, how they wrote about themselves and so on. Yeah. Anyone else? All right then, I hope this was helpful. We went for about an hour, that's pretty good. And I'm always available for questions. If there's any that come up as you prepare dossiers or you get questions as a department chair from your colleagues. Not everything is explained in great detail in the tenure policy. There's areas there of discretion. And as I've indicated here in some of my answers, I always come back to, as an applicant, how do you put your best case forward and work within the system